Hello and
All
welcome
right.
to the Film Experience Report on Fences, a movie that is not about fences, not even proverbial fences. I mean, they build a fence, but they don't
Mm,
actually build a fence. The director is the main character. It's Denzel Washington, who plays the Bane character Troy. This came out in 2016, and the movie's plot is in 1957 Pittsburgh, Troy Maxon lives in a modest house with his wife, Rose, and their teenage son, Corey. He works as a garbage collector alongside his best friend, Jim Bono, whom he has known for decades. Troy left home at 14 after standing up to his abusive father, becoming a robber to survive on his own. While serving time for killing a man during a robbery, he met Bono and showed himself to be a talented baseball player. He played well in the Negro Leagues, but never made it to the major leagues. Because of the color barrier, he was not broken until he was past his prime. A gifted storyteller, Troy claims to have survived near fatal pneumonia as a young man by surviving death in a wrestling match. That's the plot. That's the whole
mm.
plot. It never goes deeper than that. So, who are you?
My name is Julio Rodriguez. I'm a business major, and yeah, taking this
Nice.
class. Yeah, you?
Why are you taking the class?
Partially because I needed it, but also just because out of all the choices, I feel like the film just kind of not called out to me, but it's just more like something I actually kind of would enjoy to learn more about. So that's why I took it.
My name is Joshua Schroeder. I am a psychology major, and of course, I believe that this is one of the almost required credits. But you get to choose, and this does speak to spoke to me more than like the history of plays. I don't remember what the actual class is called. But yeah, film is something that we all kind of experience on a daily basis, whereas plays are not. So this is
Mm.
more interesting and more useful on a daily basis and in my everyday life than studying plays. This is a Tony Award winning play that is
Mm.
the movie is based off of. This movie came out in 2016. The play came out in 1985 and then had a rerun in 2010. The playwright is August Wilson. They didn't make a movie earlier because Wilson insisted that there be a black director, as that makes sense, as the entire cast would be black. So I don't. It would probably be weird having this be a period drama about black people in the 50s, having a white director tell a bunch of black people how black people lived in the 50s. That makes sense. I agree with them. And then it only took them 30 years to find a black director. I think that this is a critically renowned play for how it depicts specifically black traumas, because a lot of the trauma that African American people face is specifically tied to poverty and money and providing, because that is a common theme in their lives that they cannot escape.
Culturally, I think this movie like hits a lot of the points of like all like the stuff they had to go through and everything. So yeah. Mm.
The speech is one of the things that immediately got me.
Yeah.
They do a
Um.
very good job of capturing the dialect. So into one we go.
All right. Yeah. Um. Filming experience viewing for me. I watched it. I watched it here at my house. On like I had to rent it out. I watched it just by myself on my laptop in like a just like a quiet room, which I felt kind of added to the movie, if that makes any sense. Just because of like all the emotions and just all the feelings, just that noise just coming in that quiet room that I was in, I feel like just made it more tense and everything, and all the arguments kind of felt more real.
I also watched this in my house and had to I rented it from Amazon because the link takes you to an expired license agreement on Swank, which is unfortunate for everyone involved. Thankfully, the ads weren't too intrusive.
What were your expectations and like preconceptions?
So going into this, I had
Mm-hmm.
completely read the synopsis wrong. And I know what Denzel Washington is usually known for.
Mm-hmm.
I read something about him being a garbage man. I know it was in the 1950s, and I know that racism was a part of it. So my mind put two and two together and built a movie where essentially Denzel Washington's character, Troy, basically becomes garbage Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I
Yeah.
thought in the synopsis that it said that he gets fired because of racism and takes retribution out on the people that fire him. So the first half of the movie, I kept expecting him to get fired, and I was waiting for the second half of the movie, which would inevitably be his vigilante violence redemption arc, where Troy was gonna go be a badass and stomp, like curb stomp and beat people up.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly that never that
Yeah.
doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So you come in and Troy is a good guy, and I'm like, cool, yeah, they're setting Troy up to be a good guy because he's got to look like the hero because he's gonna go beat up a bunch of racist white people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden he starts looking like a dick, and I'm like, okay, well, they're adding depth to him. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
They gotta give the main character some depth. And then he just gets more and more annoying. And then he gets a promotion. I'm like, this isn't the movie I thought it was. He's
Yeah.
never turning into garbage Batman, is he?
Now, for me, just based on the picture, I thought it was gonna be like a happy like story or just like I don't know, just a happy family trying to make it through. Because at the beginning they start off like cracking jokes, smiling, and I was like, okay, like it's gonna be more of a like okay, happy family, just trying to make it day to day.
Passing that bottle
Yeah,
around.
I was like, okay, they're yeah, like just living their life the best that they can,
Yep.
and that's just what my like. That's what I was just thinking it was gonna be, but then like throughout the movie, I was starting to think, okay, maybe not. Like first problem came, and I was like, okay, families have problems, and then another, and then it just started. So yeah, like that was mainly my expectation that it was gonna be like a happy family movie. Yeah.
That cover really sells it. That cover
Mm,
sells a happy family movie. And I looked at the cover and was like, oh, yeah, like this is the life that he's gonna defend with his, I don't know, a pistol.
mm,
I cannot sell hard enough how much I legitimately thought Denzel Washington was gonna be a vigilante garbage man. And
uh,
I still think they should make that movie because that might be that might be
so yeah.
fun.
Mhm.
Uh, what do you think the film's primary focus is?
Um, for me, the primary focus I feel like was trying to show how basically people who don't fix themselves just pass it down, if that makes any sense. Like every time Troy was sad, like it just went into everyone else. Like he didn't want to like try to better himself, like admit to like his faults. So I feel like it was just focused on how unhealed like pain like just turns into like generational stuff, like from his father to him, and then like I don't know, maybe they pass it down to like his sons because they know they seen what how he treated them, and it's just a constant cycle until somebody like like stops that and like
How like every single interaction plays such an important role in the rest of your life and you don't pay any attention to it or think about it until it's already had its effect long after it's already had its effect when you're looking back on it. And so like yeah, the theme The primary focus, the theme of this movie, it's definitely trauma and how that affects us, generational trauma specifically. This is completely emotionally driven, and we get to feel the theme of the movie in kind of 3 acts. So we're the first kind of part of the movie, we're getting to see Troy, and we're building him up and tearing him down. And we finally get to the end of that when he's talking about what finally happened between him and his father. And it ends with him getting the absolute crap beat out of him and leaving and turning into like a murderer. That's when we find out he murdered a guy and all of that stuff happened. And that's the end of the first act. We go into the second act, and that's building up how that rippled into how everything that he wanted to avoid happening, all of his past, he inadvertently is building up into Corey. Now we see this happening all with Corey, and that builds up. And by the time we get to that conclusion, with the we get the baseball bat, which did not end how I thought it was going to be. I really thought Troy was going to get hit in the head with a baseball bat, and I felt very let down that Corey did not hit him in the head with a baseball bat.
I think
That
for me, I kind of didn't want Corey to hit him to kind of show like not obviously I wanted him to because he
yeah.
was just treating him so bad, but it was more like show that he's better than him. Like he doesn't have to take his anger out on other people to feel good about himself. Which obviously like he didn't hit him.
The second half of the movie is dealing with the fact that this generational trauma, or Troy specifically, part of the whole plot is that he did the best he could. And it does show in the outcomes near the end of the movie that he did do the best. He is a raging piece of shit, but he did do
Mhm.
the best he could because he did manage to have a kid, Corey, who when it push came to shove and that scenario was set up again for Corey to relive and become his dad, he didn't. So whatever Troy did worked.
Yeah.
It sucked, but it worked.
Mhm. Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, I think it was very character driven.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, good
character
point.
driven as a Troy. Like Troy, like it was character driven by him because like everything that happens to Troy affected each person in his life.
Yeah.
Like his trauma affected everybody. Like s- his his son's family, like every decision just came straight from him.
Oh, and you
So
can
that's why I
see
think it was.
that too,
Yeah.
because even in little tiny things, they're like it's like a hint towards the over arc how he the over his overarching like life. Every single time there's a disagreement, like between him and his wife, when everyone's around, he'll bring Bono in and be like, I know Bono agrees with me. Or what do you think
Mhm.
about this? He brings someone in to be like, come on, and gang up on that person. And like, he always brings someone else into that argument. He cannot just stand to leave it alone. I found myself actively yelling at him several times,
Yeah.
if only because I was frustrated, but also to just shut up about baseball.
Hmm.
I was like, come
Nah,
on,
yeah.
Troy, stop talking about baseball.
What do you think the director's intent was for this?
I really think that the entire intent and purpose of the movie slash play to just show how trauma affects people and how we cope and how it changes us and how that trauma ripples through time.
Mhm.
How just like that one piece of trauma, Troy's trauma from his dad, shaped the lives of so many people through
Mhm.
time. It killed the guy he murdered. It made him meet Bono, but it changed Bono for the better. It made him meet
Mhm.
his wife, and it brought those kids into it. It also made those kids' lives suck, and then it brought her down. And it's a conflicting thing.
What kept the film interesting to you? For me, like I feel like there wasn't real there was some slow moments, But I think mainly everything was like well paced. If that makes any sense. Like I
Yeah.
say, slow moments were like the like some development moments, you know. But I feel like those were needed to get more emotion whenever something actually happens. Like whenever he's like like he's like like playing with his wife, like and this and that. I feel like that helped more into like the where he was talking to the other woman and everything. I feel like that added to that. Yeah.
Let's see here.
And the
I
conflict, I think,
Oh, go
uh,
ahead.
um, I think it's like internal struggle. Just because I don't know, I feel like Troy. I mean, I feel like it's more complex than that. But to me, is internal struggle with Troy. Like he just can't like he can't let things be like he just can't change. Like he can't see good in things. Like because he didn't work out in baseball, he's not gonna let his son have a chance in football.
Anything. Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah, and, like, there's a thing I noticed that
mhm,
near the in the beginning when it's, like, setting up Troy as a kind of a bad person, every single time that someone is talking about doing something for the love of doing something, Troy is like, "That's stupid.
yeah,
You're wasting your time when you could be working."
hmm
And it's just he's just putting them down for doing something that they love because he couldn't do something he loved.
hmm
He doesn't
yeah,
actually think it's stupid. He just doesn't wanna see them be happy because he couldn't be. And
and
my
that's with
video's about to
everything.
run out. This video is gonna end in 3 seconds. He just couldn't stand to see Corey be happy. It just hurt him because he's a bad person. And I think that that's important nuance because very often in movies, you only have villains who are like legitimately terrible people. And Troy, he does good things sometimes, but okay, yeah, we're going. Where did we leave off? Oh, yeah, any new baseball player, he's like, "Oh, they suck." I didn't cut it. Yeah. Yeah, 17, 18. Yeah. He just couldn't stand to see Corey be happy. It just hurt him because he's a bad person. And I think that that's important nuance because very often in movies you only have villains who are like legitimately terrible people. And Troy, he does good things sometimes, but I think like deep down he's legitimately kind of a bad person. But it's not his fault. He just kind of sucks. Yeah. It's just what he turned into. Like he just is kind of shitty. So that puts us where we're editing, cinematography, visual. Mm-hmm. I liked that everything looked terrible. But the what I picked up on, and I didn't know this was a play before I watched it. Uh, I, I was thinking while I was watching it, I was like, wow, this could be a play. And then I found out today that it was a play. I was noticing that it is true to the play because there's really only three sets. And it all surrounds the house. It's you're either in the front yard, you're inside the house on the first floor in that combined room, or you're in the yard, you're in the backyard. And it has a lot of its like cinematography is kind of from film cues, or like not film cues, from stage cues. So like there's a scene where the scene right before Troy tells Rose he's got a baby coming. They're trying to, of course, build the fence that never gets built, and then it's him, Bono, and Corey are there, and he's like, "Corey, go find me a saw." So Corey goes in the house, and him and Bono are talking. Him and Bono talk for a very long time about him cheating. It's like 10 minutes. It doesn't take 10 minutes to go find a saw. So essentially, Corey just vanishes. Corey just disappears into thin air. And that is a very play thing to do where people just exit the stage and just don't come back. And it's not the only time that happens. People exit and enter the stage in scenes and they don't come back. And that's a play thing. Like normally in movies, you would have cuts, you'd have jump cuts to like go see what the other character is doing to keep them involved in the action, and you just don't. You never do. Yeah, yeah. Hmm. It is realistic. Like just I don't know, go find the thing. There was also a lighting cue on the cinematography front. There was the thing that happened at the beginning and the end of the movie is really good in film, and also was the thing that would have happened in the play. The very beginning of the movie, him and Bono are coming back from their garbage shift, and when they come onto the street, there's a lens flare from the sun, and then it creates this golden hue all over the street when they're walking up to the house and the kids are playing. And it creates this like golden hour look of like, this is truly the good times. Everyone's happy, everyone's laughing, and then, that kind of lasts until, or like the happy feeling lasts until you get introduced to Gabe, and Gabe has that weird interaction with Troy. You don't really know who Gabe is yet, but he has that weird interaction with Troy talking about his death. He's like, "I saw you die," or something, and then they do a really close up shot of like Gabe and Troy, and in the background you can just see like smokestacks spewing out soot and stuff, and the sky is really dark. And after that scene, the movie just gets horrible. The movie gets really dark, and it doesn't get any better until the very end when Troy dies and everything gets wrapped up. And then Gabe comes and he blows his little horn at God, and they look up at the sun, and the sun does a lens flare again. And it's like, oh, the good times are back. Troy is dead now. Go ahead and relive. But I mean, it's not just that Troy's dead. It's that also, like, Rose has overcome her traumas that she was talking about, and Corey has now overcome his trauma, and they can leave that in the past, and they're rebuilding on top of the wreckage of Troy. And so, yeah, it's positive. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The crookeds in the straits. Uh, yeah. That I mean that whole thing at the end there, where Corey singing the old dog blue song at the end was kind of like the realization that, oh shit, okay, yeah, they're gonna be all right. Because that you can kind of get the old dog blue is Troy, totally Troy, because that whole song is about duty and loyalty, and it kind of that's Troy's entire personality. Troy's whole life is just about duty and loyalty, and that's it. There's no emotion beyond that, and it's just like the dog isn't showing any emotion beyond duty and loyalty, and then he does his job and he gets laid to rest. So yeah, watching that play out is kind of really cool. Um, sound, the sound and the music, pretty great. Because there is none. There's no music, and I did not realize that either until addressing this question. There's just no music. It is all dialogue, and I think that that makes sense because I noticed that when I was watching it, I was like, "This kind of reminds me of watching The Outsiders," which is also kind of like a play, or like Grease. It's a movie that's on a based on a play. Well, I mean that's a musical, maybe I don't remember, but yeah, it's just a lot of talking. Talking is a lot quicker than in most movies because the dialogue is the score. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. and just makes everything. The only time that there were sound effects was the thunderstorm, which was really sick. I appreciated that thunderstorm because it was very fitting. Uh, it was a reckoning with that his he had to face in his life, and then I really enjoyed him going batshit and screaming at God. I thought that was great. I just thought it was funny to watch him yell at God for some reason. I don't know where that came from, but it tied into the end when he's just like, "Oh yeah," and he takes the baseball bat. He's like, "Oh, I can't taste anything. I'm dying. I'm gonna hit you with a baseball bat, God." Like, okay, okay, man, you need to sit down. Mhm. Yeah. Oh, the ugly crying is so real. Like, I've been there. I've done that. I've looked like that before, and I was like, that's so good. Like, yeah. Yeah. I just got a shiver down my spine because she sold that heartbreak so well. And then her dying inside for the second half of the movie was so good. Yeah. It's conflict, like real conflict. Like, and she talks about it later briefly, like a woman is dead and technically she feels joy over it, but she shouldn't feel joy over it. So she's just like, shit, what the do I do with this? Yeah. And she sells that because she has every right to not be devastated, but she just is as devastated as he is. Mhm. It's real frustration. It's real frustration. Mhm. You could see him you could see him holding everything in, like, his his face he looked constipated. He looked like he had to take a big old deuce the whole time, and not because he had to, because that was him constantly holding in his feelings and his emotions because he couldn't show those around Troy because he wasn't allowed to. So, what could easily be misconstrued as a dumb look on his face was actually incredibly good acting because he is constantly in a situation where he has to hold his tongue. Uh, Yes. Hmm. I of course like Gabe, but only because Gabe is fun. And I mean all the characters are kind of cool, but yeah. Hmm. Oh, that was Lions. That was Lions. Gabe is Troy's brother. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. A thing that I think is funny in the end, you do find out that Troy was right about Lions. That he wasn't just playing down there; he was actually committing fraud. He was committing crimes at the crime place, which is so it's just another thing that goes to show that Troy was not always on some bull. Um, yeah, he's a complicated human being. Uh, yeah. So the editing, we kind of skipped editing and pacing. We can touch on that really briefly, but there isn't a whole lot of it. There's no real editing in it because it's a play and it's designed around a play, so it's just really really long shots and really close up, and then just long scenes. No real editing is involved, and the pacing of the movie is slow. And the pacing of the movie is slow because it wants you to marinate in the painful that's happening. And that's kind of it. Like it. I mean, I found myself saying, "Hey, go fast, please, please make this go faster." I mean, kind of because I was waiting for garbage Batman to appear, but also because eventually it's like I really want this to stop. I want this to stop. And it's because they also wanted it to stop. So it's slow on purpose, not slow for a bad reason. Yeah. Mhm. Um so yeah, in this department, overall reaction, um really good movie, probably better than Garbage Batman. Um when the credits rolled, I was really glad it was over. Uh but that was just because they were glad it was over. Like it was stressful. It was slightly cringy sometimes watching him be a dad, like singing that old Dog Blues song. And I'm just like, please stop singing that song. But they were also doing that. They were also like, please stop embarrassing yourself, Troy. So it's just they were the acting was phenomenal. They did such a good job of making me feel like they were supposed to be feeling, and selling all of it. And I wish that I had gotten to see Troy die, but I also know that the reason we didn't get to see Troy die is to sell the end. Because it was very unsatisfying to us, but that's also how Corey felt too, because Corey fucking hated Troy. And so if we had already seen Troy die ourselves, then we wouldn't have been as focused as we would have been on Corey's unresolved grief at the end. So, but I would recommend this to people, specifically for the acting. Like, it's fun. It's kind of long, but again, it was supposed to be long. It needs to be long. And yeah, I guess that puts us squarely at the end. I guess, would you watch it again? I don't want to go back into the time machine and relive the pain. Yeah. I don't need the Groundhog's Day of, well, time to go through this all again. No thanks. He can stay dead. Like, we don't need to dig up the past. And it kind of does feel like that. It's the same thing of just like that family. Like, they probably don't need to relive a lot of those memories. Just like we don't need to rewatch that movie. We just let them stay back there in the past where they belong and in their grave. Yeah. This is the movie that you watch with your dad when you want to call him out and be like, "Why don't you like me?" Do you have anything to say to me, Dad? Does this look familiar? Huh? So we have come to the end of the semester, and the movie and the talk. Has this changed? Has the film class changed how you look at movies? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The I've really liked analyzing films before, but I didn't have the tools to do it. So now that I have them and I have been doing it, uh I enjoy the few movies that I've done it with. I have enjoyed way more than I would have. For the major motion picture thing, I watched Nuremberg, which is a very heavy World War II documentary. And I definitely liked it probably about 80% more than I would have if I had just watched it as a movie and not analyzing it for this class. So this will it changes my understanding of film. I think this will help me if I ever wanted to make film, which I probably never will because I don't have the time, but it definitely will help me to enjoy film in the future for sure.